I didn't realize the camera was on me. Whatever, you're gonna have to deal with that. Dun, 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 dun. So we're super slow in getting people to watch on YouTube. So do me a solid, share it out, the YouTube video. I guess now that we've said we're not going to be using their monetization, they're like, haha, whatever. Scum-sucking loser faces. YouTube, man, it is weird. Getting no distribution whatsoever on YouTube. Share it out, if you will. I'll be with you in just a sec. Oh, are you guys hearing double echo too? No? Why is that? This? I don't know why you're... The audio is probably all messed up too. Whatever. Whatever. Let me just do that. Ay, ay, ay. What a day. What a day today has been in the news business. Huh? It's just been a nutty day. A nutty day. So we started off this morning, and I'm not going to spend too much time talking about all this. I'll be honest, I just went to my kids' open house, and I'm beat. Like, that wears you through, holding a 6-year-old while you're touring a middle school to make sure, that it's good and decent and all that stuff. And the 6-year-old was going nuts and blah, blah, blah. Fun stuff, joys of being a parent. But anyway, today was an eventful day across everything. We already know about Andrew Cuomo, so I'm not even going to spend so much time with that. Andrew Cuomo, he's the governor of New York. He's a very famous guy, governor of New York. And it seems that although the New York Attorney General has found the allegations of sexual assault by 11 women, including state police officers, as credible, and said that Andrew Cuomo broke federal and state law, she's not going to refer those for criminal prosecution, and instead is going to leave it open for the individual jurisdictions, which she could do. She's going to leave it for the individual jurisdictions. It's very, very odd. Andrew Cuomo then made a video a short while later and essentially spent, 45 minutes victim shaming and blaming everybody else for what he did. Blaming the victims, blaming this, and saying he's not going to resign. Now, everybody and their mother has come out of the woodworks and said that he must resign. Joe Biden said it. Nancy Pelosi said it. The entire New York State Assembly of Democrats, they all said it. The GOP did too. I'm sure it's the entire assembly of everybody. Anyone with a brain that figures, hey, if a purely Democrat attorney general finds all these allegations against you as credible, well, guess what? You're done. But for him, he's apparently just saying no. He made a statement an hour after Letitia James did her press conference, and he made a statement that was probably the most absurd statement I've ever heard in my life. It was literally just disgusting, man. That's the only thing I could say. It was just disgusting. He victim shamed. He came up with other things. He threw other sexual assault victims under the bus by dude, it was disgusting. I actually felt dirty after watching it, after talking about it, and it made me look at what this country is and just be like, man. And a lot of people are like, Steve, how are you just realizing this? And I work on social media. So if I continuously talk about how bad everything is all the time, that's what everyone is going to hear. And there's going to be no optimism that some things in life are going to be okay. You know what I mean? So I always try to, unless you ask my wife, because she'll say there's no way in hell I can call myself optimistic. But I like to think I am. I like to think I'm a little bit optimistic. But it's weird. It's weird. Someone said you didn't get any notices anywhere on CS. So this didn't send a notification? Nope. It's fucking software, bro. Yeah, hold on. Let me just do this. Bam. How about that? There. Now everyone, all Citizen Stringer people should have got a notification. I don't know. I'm still learning this stuff. But today was just a weird day. We had an attack on the Pentagon. You know, my law enforcement sources, because it's one of the first things I asked as soon as I found out the officer was killed and stabbed. One of the first things I asked, was it terror? Because we've seen that before. Remember the Capitol, attack, the terror attack on the Capitol that nobody wants to talk about because it wasn't Trump supporters? It happened since then as well, where a guy with the Nation of Islam ran his car into 2 U.S. Capitol police officers, killing one, and then jumped out of his vehicle and charged at another with a large knife before they shot him and killed him. Remember that? You probably don't know about it because the mainstream media, they covered it right away until they found out the assailant was not a middle-aged white man, and then they literally stopped reporting on it. Live. We covered it. The Capitol Police, the acting Capitol Police chief, came out within a half an hour and said there were no ties to terror. I was broadcasting it live, and I said, I have without a doubt now that there are ties to terror, because how, within a half an hour of the incident occurring, how could you say there's no ties to terror? So earlier this morning, I think it was around 11 o'clock, gunfire rang out at a transit station nearby the Pentagon. It was on Pentagon property. Apparently, a man shot at police. I don't know how it all happened, but I know shots were fired. Police ended up killing the suspect, but the suspect stabbed a police officer. And my law enforcement source, who's on the federal side, said that this was, and they already know it was an attack on police. So it's kind of eerie because we just wrote something about this. Police officers are in danger more than ever right now. 185 officers so far this year shot in the line of duty. 35 officers have been killed so far by gunfire this year. 67 law enforcement officers have been shot in 52 ambush-style attacks. It's insane. A new report from the National Fraternal Order of Police paints a grim picture on the war against police officers. Officers go out every day and put their lives at line, and as the rhetoric against first responders continues to be filled with hate-fueled sentiment, their jobs are not getting any easier. The National Fraternal Order of Police reports that as of midnight on July 31st, there have been 185 officers shot so far in 2021, 35 of whom were killed by gunfire. There have been 52 ambush-style attacks on law enforcement officers this year, which is up 126% from 2020 year to date. That's insane, 126% increase, which results in 67 officers shot, 17 of which were killed. The number of ambush-style attacks on law enforcement does not account for ambush-style attacks that result in no officers being shot. Officers put their pants on one leg at a time, just like everyone else. They have families, they are loved, wives, husbands, mothers, fathers, children, or someone that they love and care about are waiting for them to come home. They are human beings, and yet we have witnessed the line between righteousness and criminals crossed all of the time. We hear cries to defund the police and abolish ICE, along with other derogatory slurs hurled at officers in major cities and towns across the United States and small towns. We hear I already said that. They have ambushed, had feces thrown at them. They get pummeled by rocks, fireworks, just about anything and everything that could be hurled at them. And yet they still get up every single day and go and do that job. Every day. Would you do it? There was a time in my life that, if I chose a different path, then I thought it would be a good one, but I decided to be a firefighter instead. But, I thought I would be a good police officer. And then I realized, no, I wouldn't. And I have family and friends that are great police officers. And I don't know how they can do it. I don't know how they put on their uniforms every day. I know some that literally put on their uniform at work and take it off before they go home, not because they're ashamed of the uniform, because they know that if they're sitting in traffic and someone drives by and sees that, the patch on their arm, there's a good likelihood that that person may try to kill them. Or if someone walks into a 7-Eleven or a Sheetz or a Wawa or a gas station, off duty on their way to work to grab a coffee, that is a question. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm kind of a weirdo anyway, so when I go into a Sheetz or 7-Eleven or even step outside, I'm thinking someone's going to do something. That's just the way I am because of the life I've lived. But I can't imagine just because of your job, just because of what you do, that your head literally has to be on a swivel 24/7. And it's not going to change because the rhetoric, I mean, here's the thing is, there's not enough attention being brought to it. We can talk about it all we want. Fox News can try to talk about it on a 10-minute burst. Newsmax can talk about it. Anybody can talk about it just for a second. But the fact is that not enough people talk about it. Not enough until it actually affects you, when you hear there's a shooting at an army base or you hear there's a shooting at a government facility and you're like, oh, is my friend working today? And I know there were people that had that same feeling today. And it's scary. And there's nothing I can do. And it's a really helpless feeling, to be honest, to have so many people I care about that literally slave and put on that uniform every day to try to make America better, to make America safer. They don't do it to go out and try to clash heads and arrest people. It's not why. You're never going to find a police officer that says that's why they want to do the job. And likely you're not going to find a police officer that feels that way. They do it because it's a higher calling. Think about just how negative it is. I mean, there was a protest last night in Stanton. There was one today too. Stanton, Virginia, it's a small little town, a group of 20 plus, protesters, most not even from the area. Actually, probably all of them not even from the area, are protesting outside of a little police station. They attacked two people, which we caught on tape. We're going to talk about that a little bit because I brushed over it yesterday. And the police are forced to come out. And then the attention goes from these two people who these fake-ass BLM protesters were attacking. And instead, they turn their attention on the police officers and start yelling slurs at them and start yelling all these awful things at these cops. These cops just literally are doing a job. That's what they do. They put on that uniform to protect and make sure everybody's safe. And yet, we take it for granted. We take it for granted. Today, when I was at my kids' school, there was an officer there. And so I made a point to ask them, just because of who I am, I made a point to ask that officer if they have officers at every school. Because in Florida, it's mandated by law. They have to have either an officer, or some private schools will have like a police, I forgot what they're called, like security. It's a security guard, but they have policing powers on the school district. They're specially trained. But in our district, it was all deputy sheriffs. And so I asked, I said, is it the same thing? And they said, yeah, every single school in our county has a police officer stationed there every single day. And I'm like, man, imagine going to work and imagine even needing that. That's the craziest part to me too. When we were kids, we didn't have that. Police were able to walk through schools and stuff like that, but we didn't have resource officers in our class or in our school. Every now and then they'd show up. But, usually it was like DARE and stuff like that. But now we have to have police officers sitting in our classrooms, sitting in our schools, patrolling the hallways. These are middle schools and elementary schools. I'm not even talking about high school. My kids aren't even there yet. These are middle schools and elementary schools that we have to have officers placed in now. And it's not because of a certain demographic. It's not because of white supremacy. It's not because of anything other than the fact that people do awful, awful things. And now us as Americans, not as Republicans or Democrats or anything like that, just us as Americans, we are stuck facing it. There's nothing we can do. We can't change it because here's the thing, nobody else is going to actually pay attention to what's going on. Nobody is. The Democrats are so focused on just vilifying the Republicans. The Republicans are so busy just either, defending themselves against the attacks from the left or attacking them just as well. Every single day, there's this volley between Twitter of Republicans yelling at Democrats and Democrats yelling at Republicans and go back and forth. I really don't think when I do finally get my license here, because we have to wait 2 months, apparently, because there's no appointments. When we finally do switch it over, I'm no longer a Republican. I'm not. I'm an independent. Because I can't get on board with what's happening in our country and the fact that I don't believe there's enough politicians that actually give two shits about it. Here's the thing. Today, Pentagon officer was killed. That's a federal agent. We should have every single member of the media, member of the elected officials, every single one of them should have held a press conference today and said enough is enough. We have, all these DC officers that are killing themselves. And yes, the left is trying to attribute those to the Capitol because they responded to the Capitol. But here's a clue. We had 20,000 people at the Capitol in terms of police and National Guard members. We have four that apparently took their own lives after. But the Chicago police officers didn't respond to the Capitol. We had 3 Chicago police officers take their own life in the first 15 days of last month. 3. Everyone wants to blame everything on January 6th and Donald Trump. It's all Donald Trump's fault. No one wants to actually look at the underlying problems of why did an officer take his life? Why do they feel that? And do you think it has anything to do with how they're portrayed in the media? Do you think that's what it has? Because even Republicans, we're not handling January 6th well. Some of us are saying, hey, yeah, there were criminal actions being taken place there, but it's hard for me. Because I have friends that are on the federal side. I have friends that are on the local, PD side. And I talk to them and they're like, hey, man, you said something the other day. Like, bro, how can you say that the cops were doing stuff wrong? Well, because I witnessed cops sucker punching people. There's video going around now where the cops are just throwing into a peaceful crowd of people, flashbang after flashbang after flashbang and smoke and tear gas. And there's nothing going on where they're throwing it. So how can you say that those are good cops? I can't say that. It's the same reason that I'm going to condemn what the violent actions that did take place on January 6th. Because I don't stand for that either, but I'm going to hold everyone else accountable. But just as we say all the time, and just as the BLM crowd always tries to say, just because some people loot, you can't say that's all protesters. 97% of all protests are peaceful. But what about that 3%? And how come that doesn't apply to us? How come it doesn't apply on the right? So when the right does something, because, I went to a protest this weekend that had a tremendous amount of people, thousands of people, and there was no violence. There was no fighting. There was no cussing. You know why? It wasn't political. It was about mandates. It was about mandated vaccines. And you know what? It's going to happen more. And if the country keeps doing the things the way they're doing it now and locking everything up, and New York City today announcing that you need to have a vaccine just to go to a gym in New York City or to go out to eat in a restaurant or go see a movie, you got to be vaccinated. You got to prove that you're vaccinated in order to go to any of those establishments using some vaccine passport, which they said would never happen. Remember that? All the Democrat cities were, we're never going to do that. We're never going to do that. Guess what? They are. And the reason is because we have an election coming up in just over a year. And they've realized that, in all reality, this is probably one of the better things they could do. Because it's going to turn all these people that are like, when I was at this rally, it wasn't just left, or it wasn't just people on the right. There were people that voted for Biden. There were people that already got vaccinated because that's what they believe in. There were people wearing masks there because it wasn't an anti-vax rally. It wasn't an anti-mask rally. You know what the rally was? It was an it was a pro-choice rally. People believe that you have the right to make your own mind up about something. And isn't that what this country is, what people fight for all the time? Isn't that the whole premise of the Black Lives Matter movement? That people have the right to determine how they do in life, to determine whether or not they grow up in the penal system or whether they grow up, and have all the same opportunities afforded. That's literally what's happening. Is that now? Here's the crazy part. If you actually sit down and you talk to a Black Lives Matter activist, and you can get through the radicalness of it, because some of them are very intelligent people. I've had conversations with them. What's going on in our country right now is the exact opposite of what they're looking for. It's literally what they're campaigning against. But they're so messed up in the way they want to get everything done. And not all of them, but a big portion, at least the ones I've talked to. They're so messed up on the way they want to get things done that they think the only way to achieve that is through civil disobedience. And it's through pushing CRT and pushing this racial agenda or that one, or saying that they, were white privilege. I had some BLM guy say that to me the other day. Say, I've never experienced a troubled life because of my privilege. I'm like, bro, you don't know shit. You don't know what I've had to go through in my life. I didn't grow up with privilege, and any privilege that I had, ask any of my family members, I took it away for a long time. Myself. We just live in such a weird country now where everybody is just better than everybody else. And that's what we argue about on Twitter all day long. And it's amazing. It's frustrating. But it's amazing because it seems like this country doesn't want to wake up, that people don't want to wake up, and that people don't want to make things better. The only thing they want to do is just continue this strife and continue this I don't even know what you want to call it. This fight. I don't think there's anybody sincere anymore on any side. And I know it's a weird thing to say because you're like, wow, Steve, you're always pretty good, but what's going on here? I'm frustrated, man. I'm frustrated the fact that I even thought about asking a police officer if they're at my kid's school every single day in elementary school. I'm frustrated by that I even thought about that. I'm just frustrated about what's going on in this country. I'm frustrated that the people I care about every day have to worry can you imagine that kind of job? Because people don't have that. Me doing what I do every day, I don't worry about dying. You know what I mean? I'm a oddball, so I have cameras all around my house, and I carry a gun and do all that stuff because I'm just head's always on a swivel. But I can't imagine what it would be like to go to a job where that the majority of the community, it's perceived that the majority of the community hates you and hates the uniform that you choose to wear. And you're not doing it because you're getting rich. Half of these guys, especially the ones I know on the federal side, they could go and work in the government contracting side and make so much more money. So much more money. But nah, they put on the uniform every day and do that job because it's what it matters to them. And we overthink it a lot. I don't know. That's just me. That's just my thought. Anyway, you know what I also overthought? I forgot to mention Spartan Armor Systems. Hold on, let me get this overlay off because for some reason something's messed up here. Spartan Armor Systems is a faithful sponsor for this show. Make sure you check them out at SpartanArmorSystems.com and use code YEET for 10% off your order of body armor. They have some of the sickest body armor. That's a wrong camera, and I knew I was going to screw it up, and I did. But they have, obviously, that is a soft plate carrier. I have their soft, that's a soft plate, and then I have soft plate carriers and all that stuff as well. Check them out, SpartanArmorSystems.com. Use code YEET and get 10% off your order. All right, so what else to talk about? Real quick, I'm going to talk about what happened in Staunton, Virginia, and then I'll be honest, guys, I'm going to wrap it up because it's hard as hell. I don't think anyone fully understands just how much it is or how much work it takes to broadcast during the day and do all this. And I'll be honest, I know I complain about it a lot, and I'm sorry, but I just got to relax. Today was a stressful day news-wise. For me personally, you know what I mean? It was a stressful day. Plus, we have the kids starting school, so they had doctor's appointments and all this crap that I had to deal with today as well. All right, but first things first, I'm going to talk about something here for a minute. And I want to talk about what's going on in Staunton, Virginia. So for anyone that doesn't know, this is... my camera's all messed up. Shit. Couldn't get it set right. All right, so for anyone that doesn't know, the dude here with the black tank top on, his name is Warren Cash. All right, Warren Cash is a hell of a good guy. I've met him. He's a very, very nice guy. He's also a United States Army veteran and Army Ranger, I believe. And he's out protecting his town. So, and I did an interview with him and his wife a while ago, and you may be saying, Steve, what is this? What is going on here? Is this Staunton, Virginia? How come Staunton, Virginia never ends? How come it's just not, how come they're still here? How come this still goes on? And I don't have the answer for that. I don't know, but I do know that people came very close yesterday to losing their life, and they came close today to losing their life, and they're going to continue to cheat that thing until someone does die. That's my firm belief about what's going on in Stanton, Virginia. And I encourage all of you guys to share this segment, especially if you're watching on YouTube, to share this segment with the Stanton Police Department, because I spent a long time talking about how police officers are good and how police officers are bad. You guys have a job there to do in Stanton. Crimes were committed yesterday on live feeds that were readily available all day today. You could see that it happened. You know who the people were that did it. Arrest them and hold them accountable. Because today, these groups in Stanton, Virginia, beat up an old man with a camera that didn't say a damn word to him. Beat up an old man, an elderly man. And nothing's happened. Finally, police did pull them over today. And here's a video of that. And I'm not going to show the whole thing because it's pointless, because police didn't even do anything. This was today in Stanton, Virginia. So police came and pulled this crowd over, asking for ID. This is the Stanton police.
When y'all start tracking down,
and then they just leave.
I stopped as a courtesy. Hey, don't worry.
They just leave. Don't arrest it. They were just looking for the name of someone, Vaughn something. Just looking for the name. Because apparently that was someone that committed a crime yesterday. But I wanted to show everyone the people that committed a crime. This guy, the guy in the back here, he committed a crime. And who knows who he is? And I'm thinking about placing an offer, a cash reward for these people. Because I would love for Warren Cash to personally go after each and every one of these people. Because that's what should happen. Because that right there, what he did by blowing the smoke on the back of his head, crime. That's a crime. Especially around COVID. Are you kidding me? That's a crime. This one guy grabbing Warren Cash's camera right there, crime as well, right? There you can see his wife in the back wearing a Wu-Tang shirt. What? Why are you wearing a Wu-Tang shirt? Anyway, she was assaulted later on too by a guy. Look, here's another clear and even picture showing that young kid, whoever the hell he is, grabbing the top of Warren Cash's camera. You can clear as day see it there, right? Here's another one, clear as day, grabbing the top of the camera. Here's another one where he hits the camera. These are all several times where he does it. Now, this is an interesting picture because remember I showed that big fat tub of nastiness? This guy right here, you probably didn't see the whole picture. And I know I was mean. I fat shamed him. I don't care. You're a terrorist to me. But so see that guy right there that blew the smoke? Well, he then went on. A car was driving by. You could see him right there. And he tried to rip the thin blue line flag off of the back of the truck. Now, this truck, I believe, had minor damage. And again, Warren Cash, the owner of this truck, and Page all went to file police reports. They all turned over the video. They also said where you could find the video. And you know what they did? Fucking picture's wrong. Why does it keep doing that? And you know what? The Staunton Police Department did nothing. Now, granted, they may be investigating it and doing all that stuff, and that's fine. And I'm not trying to shame them, but here's the thing. Unless you want these rioters coming to your town, these out-of-state transplants, a lot of them are from out of state. Some others are from the Richmond area. The guy Pops with all the guns, Bonehead. You know, the one guy, the old guy, he says he's an Army veteran, but he carries like 15 guns with him. Okay, bud. That guy, he's from Richmond, I believe. You got the one guy, Jabrari or whatever. You know, what is he? 7-time, you know, he's got 7 criminal records, misdemeanors and felonies, wearing body armor. And it's funny because he wears body armor because he can't have the plates in it because he's a felon. That would be a crime. And then not to mention, you got all the other people, the Mike Donovans, the Wayne Schneider, although I haven't seen Wayne at these events in the past couple of days. And then you got Richard Moore. Now, maybe Richard Moore isn't coming out anymore either because he's pending trial. Wayne Schneider shouldn't be coming out either because he's on federal probation for, what is that, 170 plus counts of tax fraud or some shit like that. I mean, it's amazing that this town is being terrorized by these paid actors. I have email communication with the head, I guess it's Jabari, with Black Lives Matter 757, who confirmed in messages, you can't delete them, I've already screenshotted them, that they're getting these phones from Nexus Services. We have court documents that were released 2 days ago, which says that Nexus Services, who isn't paying any of their bills to all these other people, and by the way, your bank statements are kind of weird. You have an average of 4 overdrafts every single day. That's not the way to run business, buddy. But you're also paying for Unleashed TV. Nexus Services, the company that defrauds, let's just say that, legally defrauds immigrants, The people that are coming over the border and they make them wear ankle bracelets and pay this ominous money and sign all these contracts. Now, a lot has happened in the past couple of days. There's so much to talk about with Nexus. They just got a huge order that's suspending their ability to do a lot of things. They have to publicize a lot of the information. They can't keep doing things the way they're doing, but they don't care. RLI, an insurance company that has a tremendous amount of bonds or money out at stake for Nexus, isn't getting paid the money they have judgments for. So there's a court case on August 10th where Nexus, which is owned by these same people that are putting on these protests, have to, their CEOs have to appear in, or the CEO, Wayne Schneider, Richard Moore, and then this Eric Ajax guy or something, they all have to appear in court on the 10th. I'm going to be there, hopefully, because I want them to all go to jail. Like, more than I've wanted anybody to go to jail for a long time. And it just so happens that finally, the attorneys for RLI finally figured out the fact that Nexus is funneling money into this production company. I wonder how they figured that one out. They never replied to me anyway when I asked for a comment on the story I was working on. But they did file a new complaint, so I have no idea if that's because of me, but hopefully it was. But I want to see these guys go to jail, and I want to see the town of Stanton actually, have this be done. They attacked an old man today. The Stanton, Virginia. If you want to hold people accountable, I have all the video. Black Lives Matter 757 has the video up on their page right now. You can look. They don't show the assault today, but you can literally hear them. You can hear the assault today when they beat up the old man. You can hear it happen on the video. And then oh my gosh. The town, but nobody cares. The town, like, for example, I think if that was to happen in my town, the entire town would explode. And I'm not joking. You would have the good and the bad come out from every which corner, and it would never be tolerated, ever. But for some reason in Stanton, Virginia, the police, all young guys, they're not taking a hard stance. And I don't know if they're just afraid of Mike Donovan or the amount of money it's going to cost the taxpayer to have to fight him in court. I don't know. But for some reason, they don't do anything about it. They don't. And it's frustrating to me. But I said I'm going to talk about it. The only thing I can really say now is Stanton PD. There, you got a guy committing a crime right there. That's a property crime. Clear as day. And his whole likeness is on that video. You could see him sneaking up behind the truck. You could see all that. That's him, as a matter of fact, from yesterday. And I believe he was wearing another shirt today that said something similar. Now, this guy in the back, I believe that's the guy that attacked Paige. Now, that looked very similar to the person that was being questioned by police today. This guy here, he's been at their protest for a while. That kid? Look, these are crimes. That's a literal crime. How this guy isn't in jail right now, what more investigation do you need? There is a picture showing a crime. There's another picture showing him hitting the camera. Here's another picture showing the same guy that tried to rip the flag off, blowing smoke at the back of this guy's head, while the guy over the corner looks like he's planning to sucker punch him. By the way, he was the first one that walked over to these people. Now, I think it's important to realize that Paige and Warren Cash, they didn't go over to them. They were across the street. These scumbags walked up to them. It's just like the Nazi guy that mysteriously showed up and they got arrested for apparently sucker punching someone. Well, how come all the sources that I have, and which will probably just end up giving, I don't know, because I don't like Nazis either. And I don't know whether the guy's a Nazi, but he's got a very long rap sheet. But he ends up sucker punching one of these kids and gets a crap beat out of him by a group of people. But here's the thing, is they said he approached them. When you actually watch the video, you see this one white guy surrounded by 30 people. I'll be honest, I would do the same damn thing. If I'm surrounded by 30 people, I'm going to pick the first one and I'm going to hit him square in the face as hard as I can. I'm going to go for the second one and try to get him on the rebound before I get got. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sit there and become a victim, and that's what apparently that town wants. This guy he's being held now for hate crime charges. Because apparently he said something that wasn't heard by anybody else besides the people that he punched. Very weird, right? Maybe it was caught on video. I didn't see that. And I don't care, frankly, because this community has gone after. And it's not even this community, but these Nexus employees. And again, that's not conjecture. I have the security guard on tape saying they're Nexus employees. it's just, and the mainstream media doesn't want to touch it. You don't think that Fox News should be covering this and what's going on in a small town? You don't think Newsmax or even CNN should be talking about this? I do. I think every major news outlet needs to show this and show what's actually going on in this country, but nobody does anymore. Nobody cares. It's very frustrating to me, man. Very frustrating. Just very frustrating. Someone said they want us divided so we can't fight the GOP. I see it. I no longer think it's about politics. I'll be honest. I don't think it has any. I think originally it was about politics, but now they've pushed that divide further. So now it's really fractured. And here's the thing, because I'm normally good at forecasting things. I don't see where this stops. Do you know what I mean? So I don't see where people finally are just like, you know what? That's enough. I'm not doing this anymore. I just don't know. Stacey Reichert said they're not covering it because of the backstory. The backstory is even better. That's what the backstory is. These guys are campaigning because of personal vendetta from Mike Donovan, because he's sued this police chief. He backed $35,000 in the campaign to go after the sheriff. We already know all that. He's got politicians in his pocket. That's why they're not going after him. That's why, he's other media companies are actually being subpoenaed to furnish financial records. And just because I have respect for them, I'm not going to say what those other media companies are. But how the hell could you ever do business with someone without checking them first? I check business of everyone we advertise with. I check, internet, reputations. I check the people personally. But I'm not going to stop, man. I'm going to keep going after all this stuff. I'm going to keep talking about it. Someone said, isn't it funny that Dog the Bounty Hunter is getting sued? Actually, he's not anymore. It was thrown out. And I've talked to everybody, okay? And when I say you could take that as you will, I've talked to everybody about this. I've talked to current Nexus employees. They'll do the same thing that TQL did to me years ago, when I was reporting on a big hacking data breach where they sent out an email to all their managers and said nobody is allowed to talk to Freight Broker Live, because I kept having so many people that were leaking every single internal email. I've talked to so many current and former Nexus employees. I've talked to ex-boyfriends of these two douche canoes. I've talked to people that drove by. I've talked to ex-security guards. I've talked to other people that are in jail. I've talked to family members of these kids that are being used. I've talked to everybody. But for what? Nobody cares. I'm gonna keep covering it. I'm gonna keep covering all this stuff, and I'm not gonna give up on it. And that's my promise to everybody else, because I'm gonna keep covering everything. Susan said, "Wow, he's not getting sued." No, the reason why he's not getting sued is because he filed a response to the complaint and they never answered, from what I understand. From the court documents, it looks like he filed a response to the complaint, and then they would have to file an additional response or reply or the next motion, and they never did, so that lawsuit was thrown out. But I'm not giving up. So for anyone, someone said, "What's good with you and BCP? You make up yet?" We've never been bad, okay? I made a decision, a personal and business decision for my channel. BCP and I, we text back and forth. There was someone at the interview the other day, or when I was in Charlotte, I was like, dude, this would be a good interview for you. And I texted him that. He talks to Adam all the time. There's no bad blood. The only bad blood between that whole thing is you guys. Is all the little trolls out in the YouTube worlds and the Facebook worlds that are just trying to drive, just drive wedges. It's the same shit Antifa and BLM does. It should make you guys proud. Not all of them. Not everyone does that. There's a couple of people that are just like, you know what? Everyone's entitled to their own beliefs. That's what we fight for in America. So we'll let it be. But then there's some of you like, Steve said something about this. BCP said this. Blah, 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 going back and forth like little kids, like you're in high school. I don't do that YouTube super war shit that everybody else does. I don't care, And it's not because I'm better. It's not because I'm bigger. I just don't care. I want everyone to be successful that does this. Anthony Aguero, the guy that does the border stuff, he doesn't like me one bit. Never talked to that guy in my life. Never even shown one of his feeds. He doesn't like me one bit, but he will not answer my emails. He will not come on my show and just have a conversation. In fact, I'd probably use him a lot because he's on the border. I'd probably pay him to do features and shows for us. But again, the guy just always wants to talk bad. I'm not... People, I run things. I'll tell you what, man, I've messed up so much in business. I finally figured it out, and I'm not losing this. I'm not. And I'm not losing who I am and what I value and what I stand for. And just to make this thing go well. Like, for example, the best analogy I can give right now for anyone that doesn't know, YouTube, I cut off the monetization features. We have no more, you can't YouTube super chat or super sticker anymore, and we have no memberships on YouTube. The reason I did that is because I keep getting banned by YouTube or suspended, or they keep deleting my videos or demonetizing my videos. Why am I going to allow them to make money off of you guys when you send money? If you send $100, I get $70. They get, or actually, I get $56, and they get 46% or something like that. Stupid. So I'm not going to do that. They suspended me last time, and I said I'm done. And I followed through with what I said because I'm not going to be a slave to just making sure that I create content online. Now, if there's something I want to say, if you guys are PTNN members, you'll be able to see it live when I cut the social media feeds. If not, you can wait till the next day and you'll see it live on PTNN for free. You don't need to be a member. You could go right now to ptnn.tv and watch free content. You're just not going to be able to watch the live feeds unless you're a member. But I'm not, guys, we're here to stay. We're here to stay. I'll sell my truck, and I love my truck. If it ever got bad to it, got down to it, I'll sell my truck. I'll sell my shit to keep this going. I'm going to keep doing this forever. And we're not hard up on money. We're not hurting. We're doing very well. And we're going to keep doing well. You know, so all those people that want us to fail, guess what? It's not going to happen. Even if YouTube isn't it weird how we turn off YouTube monetization, and then how many viewers do I have on YouTube right now? Like nothing. 463 on YouTube. That's not even on YouTube. 479 on YouTube, on our main YouTube channel. You can't tell me that YouTube isn't shadow banning us and all that. Our videos typically have 1,200, 1,500, 2,000 people watching. They deliberately do it. They deliberately shadow ban us, and you know what? It's fine. It's if I turn on monetization again, it would skyrocket again. But I'm not going to. YouTube makes 30% of, for what? For censoring us? Nah. If you guys want to support us, you can do it directly by becoming a member. That is the best way. That's better than you sending super chats or better than Cash Apps, Venmos, anything. Become a member on ptnn.tv. Or you could do what that one was, and that's someone sending us stars. But again, Facebook is the same thing. We get these false news and all this shit all the time, too. Facebook is going away in the next week, too. We're not going to use Facebook monetization. We're not going to use these stars or these supporters or anything. Well, I don't know. Part of me wants to keep the supporters because there's so many people. But I don't know. I guess it would be Pete Dubb said, yeah, Steve, you're kind of strange sometimes. I could see somebody not liking you. Oh, yeah, people don't like me. I know you're trying to, give a jab. Yeah, I'm not a likable person. I was asked by my kids' daycare not to pick them up anymore because I don't smile when I go in. I look angry all the time. No joke, real story. When I'm out in public, I don't really smile that much. I'm my head's on a swivel. I think something bad's going to happen all the time. I size every single person up. My wife could tell you when we started dating, we went to a restaurant. She asked me all the people that were sitting behind me, and I was able to identify shirt color, facial hair, cars outside, everything. I've always been that way. I just remember stuff, and I pay attention. My head's always on a swivel. And it's probably because my early life and all the shit that I had to deal with as a kid. But you know what? I don't miss it, and I've never changed anything about me. So yeah, maybe people don't like it. I'm too brash, but you know what? Other people do. And it makes it worth it every single time I go out to an event, even if one person comes up. But it makes it worth it every time for me to go out to an event, someone just comes up and says, man, thank you so much for what you do. To me, I'll never stop because people say that all the time. I've never had anybody come up and be like, bro, I don't like what you said, man. You said that thing that other day and blah, blah, blah. No, nobody does it. Maybe it's because I'm a big guy. I don't know. But we're not a YouTube, fighter. We're not going to do that. Someone said, why should you have to change to please people? Exactly. But anyway, let me give an update. Someone said, Facebook on the actual supporters, Facebook doesn't make anything on the supporter payment. So, and they're doing it now and through 2022. So that's another thing too. Facebook did it. Maybe they heard me saying that I was going to cancel the supporters. So I got an email saying they don't charge any fees on the Facebook supporter payment. That's why I was almost thinking about just keeping it, but I don't know. I'll let you guys know. But yeah, the Facebook stars, when you see a star come, that's a penny for me. But they charge you for like 100 stars. It's like $5. It's such a ripoff. Anyway, Tracy said, you make me crazy sometimes, but overall, you're a likable guy and you're always real. Oh, I'm real to a fault. That's what I always say. I'm real to a fault, and I'm not a perfect person. Every now and then I'll get someone that knows me from before I started doing all these videos and knows me before I, ran a couple of businesses, and they're like, what the fuck happened to you? They remember when I was like a skinny guy. They're like, what the hell happened to you? Now you're all a politician, talking politics. You're a big dude. What happened? Can you tell me how you did it? And I'm like, I don't know. I just figured my shit out. And I know what it is. It was my wife. That's what it was. If I didn't meet her, I'd still be lost. Really would. I really would. Anyway, so that's that for the day. So for anyone watching on PTNN right now, I'm not going to do another live feed on PTNN tonight, but tomorrow I'm going to be doing a call-in show only on PTNN. So you got to be a member on ptnn.tv to be able to do the call-in show or listen to it live, even if you don't like doing call-in shows. And then you'll be able to watch it on PTNN for free the following day, as long as you just register. It doesn't cost you anything if you register, and you just can't watch the live streams. And the reason why we're doing that is to take off from social media, so we don't have to rely on social media. And I'll be honest, you guys have made a huge push. I think in all reality, we've signed probably 300, 400 new members in the past week and a half, which is huge. We have to keep doing it, but I mean, that's a huge number. So keep telling your friends. We're going to keep doing everything. I'm looking at hiring video editors. I did see a submittal yesterday. I'm going to email you back, buddy. I forgot what your name is. Anyone else that wants to write, anyone else that wants to be like a citizen stringer or do some field work for us or cover some events, especially if you're in like any metro city and you want to be able to cover some events for us, we'll set you up with that. Anybody, you want to host a podcast, reach out to us. We'll figure out a way to make it happen if you're serious. Do you have a podcast that you really like or a radio show and you want to hear it on this network? Send it to me. I'm open to it. I want to build this thing into a way where people can actually turn to something and just not get the bullshit, and just get news, and just get what's really going on in this country, the good, the bad, the ugly. And that's what I'm doing. All right. But for that, it's 7:49. Super quick video today. I'm sorry for everyone that wanted me to go on. I've been doing videos all day today. You can watch them on YouTube as well. I'm always going to be on Facebook. So the way I do my live streams now, typically, just not today, the way I do my live streams now is I do an hour on every channel, social media included, and then I turn off social media and I do only for the PTNN members only, just like everybody else does. Steven Crowder, all these people. Because the focus is for us to get that traffic onto our website so we stop having to rely on social media. Therefore, if I want to talk about the elections, evictions. You want to hear what the shit Biden administration did today? Do you want to? Should I wait? Nah, I won't even do this on the channel. I'll do it right now. This was a text message from some liberal journalist on where'd it go? The CDC has just issued a revised eviction moratorium expiring now. So now if you live in one of these hot zones with the Delta virus, so if you live in a substantial risk area, guess what? You cannot be evicted. No joke. Until October 3rd. The CDC just, extended their scope again, but this time they're not doing it nationwide. Now they're doing it just for these areas, which is 80% of the country, just in these high risk areas. So all these landlords that finally thought they're going to be able to get some of the money for the people that are freeloading in their house, guess what? You don't anymore. The CDC and the Biden administration just said, F you. Isn't that crazy? And so with that, I'm going to leave you with that. I think Adam and Scott are going to have a show at 9 o'clock, and they are both, I think it's going to be mainly about the Kumo thing. They are ripshit. They are pissed, and so that should be a good show. If you're on PTNN, you're going to see some things different than you did even last night. So on PTNN now, there's only one live stream that you'll see under the live streams, and it's just a nice live one. So when I end this live stream, it'll keep going. It'll be playing my show from a couple of days ago, because I have another computer behind this. You can't see it, but that's where the playout software is playing off of. So I can see it's, and I'm not going to touch it. There's 43 minutes of a show from last week. This show will start playing again tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, 24/7. There'll be shows. If you own a small business and you want to get some exposure, reach out to me. We'll make some ads for you and put it out there. Anyway, I appreciate you guys for watching. I will, I don't know. I'll see you in Socialist America tomorrow. Should that be my sign off? Figure out something for it. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. I'll probably be live, midday for something. It never ends. All right, bye.